It's down the road we go on this Tuesday, the 17th day of October, 2017. This is Wake Up on Angie Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz. Tuesday, 17th day of October is upon us. As you can see to my immediate left, Steve Hare, our beloved news director, is once again not in today. He will be back tomorrow. We promise, but we still have your Tuesday morning news with our own Grant Olson. I'll come your way in just a couple of minutes. My guest today in the second half of the program, we're going to profile a Make a Difference Day project coming up on October 28th. Aaron Rosenblum from the Foster Creek Conservation District will be on board to talk about some of the good work that he does and what you can do to help them out on Saturday, October 28th on Make a Difference Day. That'll be in the second half of the program. Sports, birthdays, today in history, the obscure holiday, and a very windy weather forecast. We have a wind advisory in effect. There's a very aggressive and strong cold front that's going to blow into our region. It's not going to last very long, but boy, is it going to make things very interesting this afternoon into the evening hours. Get ready for some significant winds. Forecast details are coming up. We'd like to start our day, and you'd like to start your day, I hope, with our beautiful cameras around the Wenatchee Valley, North Central Washington. So let's get to it. There's the cross camera, pulled all the way back, far back as it can go. You can see Birch Mountain right in the middle of your screen. Now, yesterday, they had prescribed burning going on. This is the time of year where they can do that. They had 5 of them in the North Central Washington area. So I think some of that haze that you see right in the middle of your screen could, in fact, be some of that smoke. Now, with the wind advisory, very strong winds, especially this afternoon, my guess is they're not going to be doing any prescribed burns today. It's an educated guess, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to do a prescribed burn with big winds on the horizon. So anyway, there you go. There's the Wenatchee Valley proper. And now from this point forward, you and I find out together, because I don't know what our producer has decided for our cameras this morning. That is a Rondo Rock. I'm not surprised at all, because that's Caitlin's favorite camera. You can see the headlights of that car right there. That would be on US 97A. It's one of our lower cameras, provided by Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless network. That is a Rondo Rock Camera 3. Takes us to Steins. I recognize Steins immediately, of course. That is looking to the east. So, to give you an idea what you're looking at, the Wenatchee Valley would be in the upper right-hand corner of your screen if you could see it. Steins is way up there. What a beautiful view that is. And good morning, Cashmere in Peshastin and Dryden and everybody in the upper valley. Thanks for starting out your day with us here on the NCW Live channel. And camera number 4. We wrap things up with that. That is what's called Billy Goat Hill. Sometimes we call it the Pateros camera. Look at that sunrise. Is that gorgeous? That is where the Medhow meets the Columbia River. So you can see kind of Pateros a little bit. If we had a little bit more light, you would be able to see the Alta Lake Golf Course, the lower left-hand corner of your screen. That is way up there. What a gorgeous view that is. On a clear day, from that camera, you can even see Brewster. That's how beautiful that camera is. It's one of our newer cameras. We just installed that last week. So good morning, Pateros. Thanks for starting your Tuesday with us here on the NCW Life channel. The weather forecast, it's going to be blustery. As I mentioned at the top of the show, very strong system is coming our way. It's not going to cool us down, but boy, are we going to get some winds. Let's take a look at those Tuesday winds. This is a map provided from the National Weather Service, and there you go. Look at those wind gusts. There is a wind advisory in effect, and they do a wind advisory when they have sustained winds of 35 miles per hour or stronger, which means outdoor objects can blow around, like trash cans and lawn furniture, anything that's lightweight and still outside. Obviously, if you drive a high-profile rig without anything in it, you can get buffered around a little bit. Very strong winds. Here is your wind advisory graphic from the National Weather Service. From 1 to 8 o'clock today, southwest winds 20 to 30 miles an hour, gusts up near 50 miles an hour. So it's only going to last about 7 hours. It's going to calm down later on tonight, but once we get to the early noon hour, it's going to start picking up, and really it's going to be at its peak about 4 to 5 o'clock this afternoon with very, very strong winds, and that really goes for everybody. So we're going to start out with clouds this morning, gradually becoming mostly sunny, again, as this powerful system slides through. It's not packing a great deal of rain, but once it goes through today and tonight, it's going to usher in some rain. We're going to get a little bit of rain on Wednesday night, then kind of off and on hit and miss rain really right through the weekend. It's best chance of significant rain, measurable rain Saturday and Saturday night. The big story today, again, is the wind. We have a wind advisory. It kicks in at 1 o'clock this afternoon, goes until 8 o'clock tonight. We could see winds in many locations near 50 miles an hour, especially in those exposed areas, for instance, the Waterville Plateau. And the farther east you go, if you're going to travel the I-90 corridor, out in the George area, on the Moses Lake and Ritzville, etc. High winds are going to buffer your rig. Heads up on that. So significant winds, especially this afternoon. All right, 5.5 minutes after they are going to take a quick little break. News anchor Grant Olson will have your Tuesday morning news in 1 minute. You're watching Wake Up in Angie Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Having a relationship with your pediatrician is so important. Feeling that sense of trust, that is priceless. I tell everybody about CVCH. I love it there. When I make an appointment, I don't have to take an entire day off. As a working mom, my life is really busy. Family time is everything. That's what we all work towards. And I feel like CVCH respects that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is State Representative Kerry Condata inviting you to check out our newest show on the NCW Life channel. We call it the 12th District. Each week, we'll be taking an in-depth look at various political issues that affect our area, our state, and the world. We'll be featuring local and statewide experts on the subject matter at hand. Please join us weekly for the 12th District with yours truly, Kerry Condata. Check your channel guide for times or go to ncwlife.com for details.
And now it's time for your local news update with Steve Hare.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm Grant Olson in for Steve Hare with a look at your Wake Up Wenatchee Valley news update. A Rondo Fire, Ballard Ambulance, and the Washington State Patrol responded to the report of a head-on collision above Daroga State Park on US 97 north of Rondo yesterday morning. On arrival, fire units found a 4-vehicle head-on collision involving 3 passenger vehicles and 1 semi with a trailer. On initial investigation, it appeared one of the passenger vehicles crossed the center line, striking the semi. One patient was trapped in the vehicle and required extrication. The extrication was made difficult as the front end of the vehicle was destroyed in the accident, leaving no points to pull with the jaws of life. Entrance was gained by chaining to the front of a fire engine, then pulling the dash and cowling away from the patient. 3 patients were treated at the scene and 2 were transported by ambulance to Central Washington Hospital. No names or status of those hospitalized has been given. The accident remains under investigation. Traffic was slowed yesterday along US 97 Blewett Pass when a semi-truck hauling apples rolled onto its side. According to Washington State Patrol Trooper Brian Moore, the accident occurred at milepost 170. Moore says 56,000 pounds of apples spilled to the side of the highway. The accident was reported late Monday morning and traffic was delayed for several hours as crews controlled traffic around that scene. Well, there was no school for students at Peshastin-Dryden Elementary School on Monday as a precaution due to E. coli detected in the water by the Water District on Friday. A boil advisory was issued for water customers on Saturday afternoon, which still remains in place. All Cascade schools remained open. The test found contamination in one of the water sources, and the cause of that contamination is under investigation. Residents are advised to boil water or purchase bottled water for drinking, making ice, brushing teeth, washing dishes, and food preparation until further notice. Chelan County Fire District 1 officials say the cause of an early morning house fire Sunday in Wenatchee is still under investigation. Fire crews made quick work of the fire at 727 South Chelan Avenue around 1:15 a.m. Sunday and kept the fire confined to the 910 square foot residence. But the interior of the home did suffer significant damage. An elderly man who lived in the residence was severely burned and was transported to Central Washington Hospital. Hospital officials are considering moving him to Harborview Medical Center because of the significance of his upper body burns, and he was transported to the hospital, as I mentioned. The small house that caught fire was built in 1916, and fire officials say the construction and age of the house were a factor. The 22nd annual Apple Blossom Auction is slated for this Saturday with a theme for attendees at the fundraiser. Darcy Christofferson, administrator for the Washington State Apple Blossom Festival, stopped by Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with Dan Kuntz to talk more about the social event.
This is our 22nd auction. I can't believe we're saying that, but we've been doing this auction for 22 years. And it's a big fundraiser for us. We use the dollars, we say for after the festival, and that is to build our float, take the royalty to the out-of-town festivals, the scholarships for the royalty, you know, whatever it is that's after the festival, that's what these dollars go to. So it's October 21st. Tickets are $50 each, or you can buy a table of 10 for $500. We have over 300 people in attendance right now. We, of course, are looking for more people. If you'd like to come, just give us a call at the festival office at 662-3616, or you can just go to appleblossom.org and download the invitation.
The best thing to do is get together with 9 of your friends, get a table
It really
of 10. You're going to
is.
save yourself a lot of money.
Yeah.
You can sit with all of your friends and enjoy an adult beverage or two
Yeah.
and some food. And what's the theme?
The theme this year is Round Up Your Posse. Andy Kottkamp is our Director General this year, and he's from Pendleton, Oregon, so he loves the Pendleton
Which the Pendleton
rodeo.
Roundup is huge.
Yeah, huge, huge, huge. So we kind of try to tailor our auction theme around the Director General. So he is a Western guy, so that's our theme for this year.
And that's a look at your morning news update. I'm Grant Olson in for Steve Hare, and I hope you join me later today for the NCW Life Evening News at 5 o'clock. Have a great day.
Folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's blueberry picking season, and King 5 named us the second best destination restaurant in Washington State. So toss the family in the cruiser and get on out to Blueberry Hills for the best down-home scratch country cooking you've had in years. And don't forget our award-winning pies. We're fun, family-friendly, and a delicious destination year-round. We're open every day from 8 to 3, serving breakfast and lunch all day. So come on out to Blueberry Hills.
Is this really what we're gonna do on our girls' night out?
We should go to Club Crow. The bar and grill in Kashmir?
Yeah, let's go.
Looking for a fun-filled, friendly hometown atmosphere? Club Crow Bar and Grill in Kashmir is the place to be. Hi, this is Justin. Here at Club Crow, we have full bar and restaurant, live music, a dance floor, pool tables, pull tabs, and live jam sessions the first Sunday of every month. Club Crow in Kashmir, the coolest place in town.
Just about 13 minutes after the hour, live here from Studio 42 in downtown Wenatchee. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I'm Dan Kuntz. Look at that beautiful sunrise up there in Pateros. Gorgeous, gorgeous Tuesday morning. All right, let's do sports. The prep schedule for today. First of all, we'll go to the pitch. Soccer. Manson's at Bridgeport this afternoon. Chelan will take on Kashmir in Caribou Trail League action. And West Valley takes the bus ride up to beautiful East Wenatchee. And at 7 o'clock, if you can't make it out to Eastmont High School Wildcat Stadium, you can watch West Valley and Eastmont on the pitch live right here on the NCW Live channel. Sebastian Moraga and Matt Wiesen will have the call. So that is soccer. In volleyball, inside the gymnasium where it won't be as windy, Cascade Christian is in Antioch today. Bridgeport will be taking on Mansfield. Soap Lake and Waterville. Mansfield will do battle. Chelan is at Kashmir. Eastmont is at West Valley. In volleyball, West Valley has not lost a game this year. Wenatchee will be at Sunnyside. Another prep action today. A lot going on. Slow pitch softball. Wenatchee will try and bounce back from their only losses of the season so far. They have a doubleheader. They'll be at West Valley at 4 o'clock. The Big Nine has a meet today at Walla Walla Point Park. 3:30 is when the Harriers will get at it. And Kashmir travels to Cascade for the Enchantment Duel, whatever that is. 4 o'clock this afternoon. Well, the Wenatchee Wild, they're going to try and bounce back. On the road, they're in Salmon Arm tonight in BCHL action. Wenatchee dropped a 3-2 decision to Merritt on Saturday at the Town Toyota Center. And now it's on the bus, a 6-hour, 288-mile journey to Salmon Arm, British Columbia to take on the Silverbacks. The Wild are 7-4-1 on the young season. That's good enough for 5th in the Interior Division. They got 15 points on the year. Salmon Arm 6-6, currently 6th with 12 points. All right. Former Kashmir tennis phenom Peyton Wagner. She's now playing for the University of Oregon. As a freshman, she won 3 matches last weekend at the prestigious University of Washington Invitational. Peyton is the younger sister of our own Tucker, oh, my right foot hurts Wagner. She took home first in her collegiate match, an 8-3 victory for Peyton over Peyton Jennings of Arkansas. Here are some highlights. Peyton then dispatched her University of Portland opponent 3-6, 6-3, 6-4. Wagner then dropped a set to Washington's, I can't make out the name, 6-4, 6-1. So she completes her tournament as Oregon and went 22-4 at the Invitational. Congratulations to Peyton. It's good to see a local athlete do well. Todd Frazier and Aaron Judge both hit 3-run home runs to back CC Sabathia on the mound. The Yankees are right back in it. They bombed Houston, the final 8-1 Game 3 of the American League Championship Series at the stadium last night. Game 4 today in New York. Lance McCullers Jr. will go against Sonny Gray, 2 o'clock on FS1. The National League Championship Series goes to Chicago, that toddling town. Wrigley Field tonight, Game 3. Hugh Darvish takes the mound for the Dodgers. They lead, of course, the series 2-0. Kyle Hendricks will go for the Cubs. First pitch, 6 o'clock on TBS, 16 minutes after the hour. We are live from Studio 15. Here in downtown Wenatchee, the obscure holiday of the day today for this October 17th is National Pasta Day. Did you know there's over 600 different kinds of pasta? Different shapes, different sizes, different kinds of pasta. Doesn't that look good? I want to eat some pasta right now. I celebrated National Pasta Day a little early yesterday by making one of my favorite dishes. It's kind of a pasta casserole. It's a recipe I stumbled across a number of years ago. It's got ravioli and spaghetti, and you lay it on the dish, and then you add meatballs and sauce and basil and everything, and then tons of cheese, and then you cook it, and you can eat it basically all week long. Ancient cultures were making and cooking pasta long before they were introduced to Italy and other parts of Europe. We always associate pasta with Italy. Marco Polo has been erroneously credited with bringing spaghetti and pastas to Europe. It's not true. Europeans were cooking pasta long before Marco Polo dropped by. The man probably most responsible for bringing pasta to the United States is Thomas Jefferson, who brought it back from Naples, Italy in 1789, and now, of course, it's a staple for just about everybody. Americans consume, are you ready for this, about 20 pounds of pasta per person per year. You can probably double that up for me. It's National Pasta Day. Can't go wrong with pasta. Fairly easy to make. Great comfort food. Very flavorful. It is National Pasta Day. Always celebrated on October 17th. Why? We don't know. All right, it is time for Today in History at 17 minutes after the hour on the 17th day of October. The Great London Beer Flood of 1814, one of the legendary beer floods of all time, perhaps the only beer flood I've ever heard of, happened 203 years ago. What happened, that's the actual brewery. You can see all those big vats. One of those huge vats full of beer, 135,000 gallons of beer, burst. It ruptured. And it caused a domino effect. So it knocked over the next one, which knocked over the next one, which knocked over the next one. More than 323 gallons of beer burst out, gushed into the streets, and killed 8 people. I kid you not. The London Beer Flood of 1814. 98 years ago today, October 17, 1919, RCA, the Radio Corporation of America, was incorporated. As its height in the 1940s and 50s, they were the dominant communication firms in the United States, no question about it. The major manufacturer of radios, of televisions. Of course, they owned and operated NBC for 8 million years. They essentially introduced color television in the 50s and 60s. RCA was a massive company with many, many holdings. They were bought out by General Electric in 1986, and now, today, RCA pretty much doesn't exist. It's all but gone now, but RCA, the major communications company of the 20th century, began on this date 98 years ago today. This caught my eye. 52 years ago today, the World's Fair closed. The New York World's Fair closed after a 2-year run. 51 million people went to the New York World's Fair of 64 and 65. And the reason I brought it up is that, remember when World's Fairs used to be big? I mean, they were big. Not just the New York World Fair of 64 and 65, but Seattle had a World's Fair in 62, Expo 74 in Spokane. Maybe it's because we had a couple in the Northwest. Montreal had a very successful World's Fair in 1967. World's Fair used to be big. Now we don't even hear about them anymore. Do they even exist anymore, World's Fairs? Kind of went by the wayside, I guess. And this date, 1992, 25 years ago today, and they're going to be doing some commemorations of this down in Baton Rouge. The gentleman that you see on your screen, Yoshihiro Hattori, went to a Halloween party in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He went to the wrong house. He was a Japanese exchange student. He went to the wrong home looking for a Halloween party, went to the wrong address. He was in costume Rodney Pierre's shot and killed him. It was a huge news, very, very controversial. Rodney Pierre's was questioned. The police released him. They said he was totally within his rights of shooting and killing Yoshihiro Hattori. There was so much outrage all over, not only all over the Japanese community, but in Louisiana as well, that Pierre's was eventually charged with manslaughter and he was acquitted. 25 years ago today, he went to the wrong house for a Halloween party. Japanese exchange student Yoshihiro Hattori was shot and killed, one of the tragedies of 25 years ago. And finally, on October 17th, we do birthdays. How about some celebrities? How about Rita Hayworth? Rita Hayworth, the most glamorous and famous female screen idol of the 1940s, bar none. At her time, she was as big as it got. Rita Hayworth was born in this state in 1918, passed away of Alzheimer's disease. In 1987, at the age of 68, was married to Orson Welles at one time. Now, of course, we associate, most of us today, associate Rita Hayworth with The Shawshank Redemption. Rita Hayworth, the American actress, singer, and dancer, very good dancer. Fred Astaire said she was the best dancer he ever worked with. Rita Hayworth was born in the state in 1918. Don Coryell has a local connection. There's Don Coryell, American football player and coach. Born in the state in 1924, passed away 7 years ago at the age of 85. He was the first coach ever to win 100 games at the collegiate rank and 100 games at the professional level. And he was the head coach of the 1955 Wenatchee Valley College Knights. Probably best known, of course, as head coach of San Diego State in the late 1960s and then the San Diego Chargers during the Air Coryell days of the 1980s. Don Coryell, who should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he's not, was born in the state in 1924. One of the idols of my youth, Evel Knievel. Evel Knievel, the motorcycle rider and stuntman, was born in this state in 1938. Of course, born and raised in Butte, Montana, always kept Northwest connections. Evel Knievel passed away 10 years ago at the age of 69. 7 of the 10 highest rated ABC Wide World of Sports episodes featured Evel Knievel, either jumping over buses at Wembley Stadium or trying to jump the Snake River Canyon or Caesar's Palace. When I was a kid, whenever Evel Knievel was on TV, everybody was glued to it. He was huge in the 1970s. Evel Knievel, born in the state in 1938. And a very, very funny guy. Mike Judge is 55 years old tonight. Mike Judge, the animator, director, screenwriter, producer. He was a man who created Beavis and Butthead. Then he moved on to much better things with King of the Hill, which is incredibly funny animated sitcom. And now, of course, he's working on the show called Silicon Valley, which has been winning many, many awards. Mike Judge, very funny guy. He's 55 years old today. Don't forget, if you know somebody is celebrating a special day, a birthday, a local celebrity with a birthday, you can get them to me. All you have to do is go to our website, ncwlife.com, ncwlife.com. Click on the icon for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, fill out the form. Don't forget to attach the photo, and we'll get your local celebrity's birthday on the air. Or if you choose to, go to our Facebook page and just message us. And don't forget the photo, too. The photos are always important. When we do birthdays, we like to throw the photo of that person up on the screen. All right, 23 minutes after the hour. Make a Difference Day is coming up, so Mike McNally's commentary today on Everyone is Entitled to Mike McNally's Opinion is how to make a difference. That'll be interesting. Mike's commentary is coming up in a couple minutes. Then in the second half of the program, Aaron Rosenblum from the Foster Creek Conservation District will be in studio to talk about the good works that they do and what they have planned coming up on Saturday, October 28th, Make a Difference Day. Aaron will be in studio in about 5 or 6 minutes. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Tuesday edition on the NCW Life Channel.
This is the NCW Life Community Calendar brought to you by First Choice Collision Center. Mini Maker Fair is a gathering of fascinating, curious people of all ages who enjoy learning and sharing what they can do. From engineers to artists to scientists to crafters, Mini Maker Fair is a venue for these makers to show hobbies, experiments, and projects. Glimpse the future and get inspired October 21 from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Wenatchee Convention Center. For more information, visit ncwlife.com.
Who had the reception, and now he collects the touchdown. Got on goal, Wenatchee scores. Reagan lines up the three. Yes! Oh my goodness! Figure out where the line is, where they'll cover from. West fighting on the bottom, and he got the pin. Swung on and hit hard to left field. Caught out there in left field. The shot. Yes! And Wenatchee Valley wins it. On the
NCW Life Channel, your local TV station.
Hi, my name's Emmy. And I'm Ashley. And we'd like to invite you to this year's Wenatchee Mini Maker Fair. It will be held on October 21st at the Wenatchee Convention Center, and guess what? It's free!
Wenatchee Mini Maker Fair allows people to show, sell, and demonstrate what they've made to the community.
This year there will be a variety of booths, everything from art to robotics, along with hands-on demonstrations and performances throughout the show. So bring your friends, bring your family, and come on down.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
Hi, I'm Eric Grandstrom, host of Let's Learn here on the NCW Life Channel, a program where we learn about different topics. And on this particular series, it's Death and Die. It's a conversation that no one wants to have, but we're going to have it right here on the NCW Life Channel. So you're dead. Now what? We're going to learn all about the choices you have and the decisions you need to make. It's Let's Learn on the NCW Life Channel.
With the whole family online these days, speed matters. Good thing LocalTel has the consistent speeds it takes to keep everyone happy. In the den with a tablet, streaming a movie in HD, on the home office computer, and using Wi-Fi on a smartphone instead of using up your data plan. It can all happen at once with no waiting. Speed matters. Call or visit LocalTel online to get set up with high-speed internet today.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Hey, you want to do something great? Do you want to make a real difference in the world? Now, when you shuffle off this mortal coil, do you want to have made a significant impact that means it was important that you were even here at all? Now, let me give you a tip I'm passing along from Mother Teresa. She said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. Now, she's right, you know. There's nothing more important a person can do than be a good husband and wife, a good mother or father. I used to think that it didn't matter if I cured cancer or ended world hunger. If I wasn't a good husband and dad, I'd be a failure. Well, I'm working on it, and I hope you are too. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Refrigeration and Heating has been serving North Central Washington for 34 years. Arctic provides the finest heating and cooling air quality products for residential and commercial customers, along with prompt and professional customer service. Arctic also offers specialty services like custom sheet metal fabrication of ductwork, coil cleaning, as well as planned fall and spring maintenance for the overall well-being of your system. Arctic is available for emergency calls 24/7. Call Arctic Refrigeration and Heating for your heating and cooling needs.
Collins Fashions has a fabulous selection of clothing, handbags, jewelry, and shoes for all events in your life, such as work, errands, celebration, travels, etc., etc. And our professional caring staff will assist you in coordinating your wardrobe and choose a perfect gift for that special someone. Our many fabulous brands include Joseph Ribkoff, Tribal, Jag Jeans, Tommy Bahama, and we are your Brighton headquarters for North Central Washington. We are grateful for our wonderful customers, and we look forward to seeing you at Collins, where fun and fashion meet in downtown Wenatchee.
At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, we provide financial services for independent-minded clients working to secure their future. Whether it's helping to construct your personal financial, retirement, or estate plan, we start with a disciplined approach and straightforward advice. Our look-you-in-the-eye attentiveness that our clients demand and get is rooted in values that are as human as a handshake. D.A. Davidson's straightforward approach is the way we've done it for 80 years.
Hi, I'm Lonnie Boucher, attorney and owner of EstateEdge.com. If you died unexpectedly, who would take care of your estate? Your minor children. EstateEdge.com is your online resource to obtain a simple will and other important estate planning documents. Having a will allows you to plan in advance for the protection of your estate and the care and custody of your children. For your peace of mind, go to estateedge.com today.
Just about 7:30 live here from Studio 2 in downtown Wenatchee. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel. Make a Difference Day is coming up on Saturday, October 28th, and my guest today is Aaron Rosenblum, who is the Natural Resource Specialist for the help me out.
Foster Creek Conservation District.
Thank you. We have a mutual friend. This was Bonnie Orr's idea to get you on the show. So are you happy with Bonnie? Or
I guess that remains to be seen, right?
What is your why did Bonnie decide you should be on my show?
We are both members of the Native Plant Society. Okay. So that's how we originally met. And then a couple weeks ago, we were both a part of the Douglas County Weed Management Group. So we're both meeting there, talking about Make a Difference Day, and she suggested that I come on and promote the volunteer event. So
Douglas County is the only county, I believe, that does not have a noxious weed control board,
That's correct. We don't have a noxious weed control board, but we do have a kind of a group. It consists of the WSU Extension and local landowners.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So educate me just a little bit. Native plants in this area, I was told by whom, I can't remember, the vast majority of trees, plants, shrubs, what have you, are actually non-native to our area that you see.
It depends on, I guess, where you are. If we're talking about here in town, definitely a lot of them are non-native. If you go out kind of into more natural areas, say in the forest or up in Douglas County on the Waterville Plateau, there's a lot of native shrubs and grasses up there. So yeah, it kind of depends on where you are.
And so tell me exactly what is the Foster Creek Conservation District, because Foster Creek is off the beaten path a little bit, but you play an important role, right? What exactly do you do?
Yeah, so conservation districts, it's a form of state governments. They're all over the state. Every county has at least one. Douglas County has two. So like you say, Foster Creek Conservation District covers the northern half of Douglas County. We are charged with working with landowners, mostly farmers and ranchers, to conserve natural resources on their land, but do it in a way that works for them. So we're non-regulatory, so we're not, coming in telling people they have to do something. Everything we do is on a voluntary basis. So it's great to, have landowners that are willing and wanting to do good things on their land.
Because it serves a purpose for everybody. Everybody wins in this kind of situation. Right?
Yes, absolutely. So, we conserve natural resources, which is, a big benefit for the plants and the wildlife, but we do it in a way that's going to work for them, so it's good for their operation, it's good for their bottom line as well.
And the bottom line is, in the high desert that is northern Douglas County, Foster Creek plays a critical role, doesn't it? Because there's not a lot of water up there.
That's exactly right. When there's a lack of water, that makes what water is there even that much more important.
What feeds Foster Creek? What's the source of its?
There's a few permanent springs here and there. So it's all groundwater most of the year. Of course, in the spring when you have melts and runoff, then that's snow-fed. But for the majority of the year, there's kind of some perennial springs just dotted here and there that help feed it.
And that's, as you mentioned, wheat country and cattle country, so you're not dealing with orchardists, you're dealing with mostly wheat farmers, right, and ranchers.
In this particular area, yes, we do cover areas along the Columbia as well, so we are available to work with orchardists as well. We would like to start doing that more, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So Foster Creek has, I believe you told me, 3 tributaries. There's 3 of them kind of...
There are. There's an East Foster Creek, which more or less follows Highway 17, tracking across the county. Then there's a Middle and a West Fork as well.
So Foster Creek Conservation District, and you're doing something on Saturday and Make a Difference Day. How do I pronounce this word? I don't want to screw it up.
Riparian.
Riparian.
Yes, we're doing riparian restoration.
Please explain. What is riparian?
Yes, yeah. Riparian areas are the transition between the creek, the river, and dry upland areas. So because they're next to the river, they have wet soils and unique vegetation because they have that wet soil. So things that like shrubs and trees that people are familiar with, maybe cottonwoods and willows. But there's also a whole wide variety of other vegetation that's in there.
So if you see a cottonwood or a willow that Mother Nature planted, it's pretty close to a water source or it's not going to make it, right?
There's a good chance. Yeah, there's a good chance it's right next to a creek or a river. If you're looking down on Douglas County from a plane, you'll see little bands of green. That's following a wet drainage.
Okay. Yeah. So does the level of the creek fluctuate quite a bit? As you mentioned before, it's mostly spring fed, and then you have snow melt off. Does it have a real dramatic?
It does, yeah. In the spring is definitely the highest flow. In some places, there actually isn't any flow at the moment. This is right about the lowest we'll get now that we're just starting into the rainy season again. For the most part, it's perennial throughout, but there are certainly some places where there won't be any water.
Obviously, the great deal of property up there is all privately owned, as you mentioned before. And wheat country, they're not irrigating. There's no, they're not out there watering their wheat. Mother Nature kind of does that for them. But how critical is Foster Creek to the livelihood of a rancher or a wheat farmer in the high country up there? Does it play any role at all?
Certainly for ranchers, you gotta water your cow. You gotta get the water there somewhere. And that's one thing that we are working on, is how to get the water for the cows out of the creek without damaging the creek itself. So that's one thing that we're actually doing on this particular project.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth with Aaron here. Is the creek entirely natural? Has man changed the way the creek flows?
Very much so.
Give me an example.
Well, for one prime example is putting in Highway 17. Back in the 40s or the 50s, I believe, there was a lot of straightening of the creek to put the highway in. So back in the day, the creek kind of used to meander down through that coulee like this, and now it's more or less, in some places, a straight shot.
Well, it probably really affected native wildlife and native plants when you do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That'll changes the way the water moves through the system quite a bit, so it will go a lot faster, and that has caused a lot of erosion in some areas, and that has led to basically a detachment of the creek to the land around it. So there's no longer these riparian areas, and that can have several impacts. Once there's no more riparian areas, then all of a sudden there's no longer these strong roots to anchor the banks in place, and that kind of just increases the erosion problem. The riparian areas provide very important habitat for a number of different species. In Douglas County, maybe two of the most important ones are two different species of grouse. The greater sage grouse and the Columbia sharp-tailed grouse are both very dependent on riparian areas. Riparian areas also help clean the water. They filter nutrients and sediment before they get delivered to the water, so it provides important in-stream habitat qualities as well.
You hear about this all the time all over the Pacific Northwest, the fact that they straightened out Foster Creek so they wouldn't have to build. My guess is if it meandered like that, they have to build just a bunch of little bridges.
That's right.
To keep it in its natural state. Is there no going back? Is this just the way Foster Creek is going to be now, or is there any effort to make it like it was in 1935, or is it? Sorry.
There are some things we can do. We're constrained with the land that's there. There's lots of farmed land there now, and for good reason. Farmers don't want to give up their land to reinduce meandering. It's a huge expense to redo a highway. So there are things that we can do within the constraints that we have. So we are actually looking at some things that we can do. Yeah.
What is the relationship of your organization and local government? We talked about the importance that you have with the relationship with the farmers and the ranchers and working together as a team. What about local government, say the Douglas County Commissioners and things like that? What's the relationship?
Yeah, we work very closely with the commissioners are actually just below us. Their office is just below us, so we're down there quite frequently. We work very closely with WSU Extension Office, the Douglas County Planning, Transportation Planning Departments. We also work with all of the other state and federal agencies that are involved with land management in Douglas County.
So there's a checkerboard kind of thing. There's just a lot of layering there, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And we all have the same goal more or less. So it's good to everyone to be on the same page and work towards a common goal.
Give me an example. You mentioned the grouse. Give me an example of native plants that absolutely have to have Foster Creek to even exist.
Sure, yeah. So there's the cottonwoods and the willows, and then there's things like serviceberry, water birch. There's 2 different species of rose that are in Foster Creek. There's mock orange. Gosh, I'm forgetting a few. There's a few more, yeah.
Yeah. So, so you're on Saturday the 28th. You're going to get together and have a little wingding, aren't you?
That's right, yeah. We are hoping to get a bunch of volunteers out. We're going to be planting some of those native shrubs and trees, and this is going to be in the West Foster Creek. The location is on a ranch. This has been an area that's probably been grazed for 100 years or more, but the landowner is fencing out cattle from the creek. He's protecting over 20 acres of riparian habitat, so that'll
good for him.
Absolutely. And the project as a whole, we're going to be installing over 6,000 trees and shrubs. We're not going to be doing that all on Saturday. that would be that's a lot of work. We're shooting for about 500, 550 on Saturday.
That's still a lot.
It'll be a fair amount, so we could definitely use all the hands we can get. So we'll be doing that, and we'll also be installing browse protection. So they're basically these wire cages that you put around the newly planted plants, because otherwise it'd essentially be an expensive deer buffet.
Yeah, exactly.
That we'd be putting out there.
Yeah, and you see those all the time until they get established, and you can remove.
That's absolutely right.
The deal. Why is this so important? You mentioned that the rancher who lives up there is leading you guys in and is fencing out the cattle so they physically can't get to the creek. Is that the idea? So this is a chance to do something that hasn't been done in this particular part of Foster Creek?
That's correct, yeah. So fencing off the cattle, it keeps them out, so that will keep, shall we say, direct inputs from being delivered to the creek.
Yeah, we know exactly what that means.
But it also will allow the vegetation to grow and heal without being browsed upon. And Foster Creek does have some issues, so we are working with everyone that we can who is interested in doing good stuff for the creek to address some of those issues, and that can involve a number of different things. Riparian restoration is just one of those things that we're doing.
How is the what plant goes where decision made? What are we going to plant and where are we going to plant it on Saturday, the 28th?
Right, yeah, it's all those species that I mentioned before. We're not going to be planting cottonwoods, actually. But all those kind of woody riparian plants that I mentioned earlier, more or less, there'll be kind of different groupings depending on how close to the river. Certain things, like their feet a little wetter than others. But there'll also be kind of a little bit of mixing and matching, just because we're not, you're never entirely sure what's going to work where. So you don't want to put all of your species right in the same spot and then find out, oh, it's too wet or it's too dry. So there'll be a little bit of mixing and matching, and there probably will be a little bit of mortality, but we'll know what works where, and then we can come back in and replant if there are a few ones that don't make it.
Is this something that has been done before on Foster Creek? Do you know what you're doing, or is this? Or are you
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So you've done this before?
Yes, we had just completed a project on Deep Creek, which is a tributary to East Foster Creek, where we planted about 5,000 trees and shrubs, and we've also done a fair amount of work on Fiddle Creek, which is up by Grand Coulee Dam. And I myself have been involved in riparian restoration at other parts.
Yeah, how did you get involved in riparian? I mean, that's when you were 7 years old. You go, when I grow up, I want to be a riparian restoration guy.
Well,
how'd you fall into that gig?
Wasn't quite 7 years old.
Yeah. But you've developed an early interest in this stuff. Is that?
Yeah, I'm from Colorado originally, so I've kind of always had an interest in the outdoors, and I ended up getting a master's degree in restoration. So that is where it all started. I've been hopping around the various parts of the West since then, doing restoration type work.
How long have you been in the Valley proper?
Let's see, it's actually just had my 1-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you.
Well, welcome. You mentioned before you live in Cashmere and you have to commute to Waterville.
That's correct.
On your regular deal.
Just bought a house in Cashmere,
Good.
so we'll be sticking around for a while.
So this is you're going to make this home?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Your impressions of the little old Winnetachee Valley in the Northwest. What brought you here?
It was the job, actually,
Okay.
originally. Found the job, and that kind of dictated the move. But my wife and I love it here. We love having the great outdoors to go play in, and it's a good little spot to be in. So we're looking forward to settling
It seems
down.
to drive people here, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The natural
absolutely.
beauty and all the things that you can do around here in north central Washington. Is this the gold standard for a natural resource specialist like yourself? This is one of the places that the people who are top flight in your field want to be?
I would think so. Yeah, absolutely. I think depending on person to person, there'll be small variations here or there, but for me, this is just right.
Did you have to drag your wife kicking and screaming? Or was she on
No,
board?
she was quite happy to come along as well.
Good, I like that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Can you stay close?
Absolutely.
We're visiting with Aaron Rosenblum. He is the natural resource specialist in the Douglas County area. We're going to talk more about Foster Creek and how you can get involved when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guest for, well, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel.
The taste of fantastic pizza is found in Third Generation Pizza & More. The secret? The recipes of success have been handed down through generations, each adding their own special touch. Pizza & More believes in traditions, whether it's supporting the local sporting teams or continuing to serve their pizzas buffet style, dine-in, takeout, or delivery. Third Generation Pizza & More, a team player in this valley for generations.
Welcome to NCW Life News. I'm Grant Olson.
Of the NCW Life Legislative Hotline, I'm Steve Hare.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
And now, your weather forecast for north central Washington.
We're here at the downtown fire station right now.
Dry and warm weather pattern for Friday.
Considering that we're supposed to be 103 degrees today, how do you keep these guys cool?
And this just in, traffic is slowed in the Orondo area as firefighters attack a brush fire.
Right here on NCW Life News.
It's a spectacular good time all month long in Kashmir. Scarecrows will be waiting for you throughout the town. Silly ones, spooky ones, and everything in between. Yes, it's Scare Crazy in Kashmir. Bring the family and find the scarecrows all around Kashmir. And be sure to stop by these fine sponsors. The Antique Mall at Kashmir. Come find your treasure. And Club Crow Bar and Grill, home of the blues, brews, and barbecue. And we are back at 48 after the hour with Aaron Rosenblum from the Foster Creek Conservation District. And on Saturday, October 28th, they'll be planting native trees and shrubs. You're going to install weed barriers. Aren't weeds kind of whatever they can get a toehold, they're going to take off? How do you install a weed barrier at some place that you would think would just thrive with weeds because it's the only water source for a long place?
There are quite a few weeds up there, and we've actually done a fair amount of work controlling weeds already. I had a volunteer event about a month and a half ago where volunteers helped me install 40,000 square feet of weed barrier, which is essentially kind of this thick, kind of black textile type fabric. People commonly use it in landscaping. And I will be doing a little bit of herbiciding up there, hopefully not too much. These particular weed barriers are more 3 foot by 3 foot square, kind of same sort of material, the black fabric. Then we'll anchor them down with staples, and they go around the new plantings. So the idea here is to reduce competition in the immediate root zone of the new plant to allow it to get established, and then hopefully kind of get a little bit of release from anything else.
Would you be doing this project whether Make a Difference Day was on October 28th or not? This is something that you were going to do. It just happens to fall pretty close to Make a Difference
That's
Day?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
I actually originally had the event scheduled for the day before, and then it came to my attention that Make a Difference Day was on Saturday. I thought, oh, well, that'd be maybe I should just change the date.
Well, hopefully you'll get more bodies that way.
That's absolutely that's right.
Why this time of the year? Is it because the creek is pretty low? I mean, my guess is you can't do this in May, for instance.
Good question. There's really 2 times a year. It's either spring or fall, actually. So the spring can work as well. It's really about water availability. I prefer fall over spring just because it'll give the new plants a full kind of winter and spring to get the roots down, get established before we have the long, hot, dry summer, which is really kind of the major issue with the new established plants, is that first summer where they might have issues getting moisture.
This time of the year, and as Bonnie would tell you, this Bonnie Orr is our mutual friend. This is a perfect time of year to actually plant trees because they don't have that shock of super hot temperatures, and they don't have to immediately get going. They can take their time to establish themselves, right?
That's absolutely right, yes.
It's very critical. If you've never been up to the Foster Creek area, it's a beautiful area, isn't it? It's out in the middle of nowhere, I'm not going to lie to you, but it's beautiful, is it not?
It is, yeah. There, you know, if you like that sort of thing, being out in wide open spaces, it is absolutely gorgeous. It's farmland and open rangeland. There is a WDFW State Fish and Wildlife owned property in the area, which is open for public use, so people can get out there and enjoy it. But by and large, it's all private property out there.
But the private property owners, as you mentioned before, are very good stewards of the land.
Yes, absolutely. The vast majority of people out there are doing the best that they can for the land out there, because in many cases, doing what's good for the land is also what's best for them.
Absolutely. So how do people get, it's a long way away. I suppose you're meeting like in Waterville and commuting out. Give me some of the details on Saturday. What can people expect? What do they need to bring? All that good stuff.
Right, yeah. So we'll be meeting at our office in Waterville, I believe at 8:30 in the morning. And then we'll all carpool out to the site, which it's about 40 minutes north of Waterville. And I expect it'll be a full day, but we should be back kind of mid to late afternoon.
So pack a lunch.
Pack a lunch, bring plenty of water. Maybe you'll need some sunscreen, maybe not.
For the forecast, I have it here real quickly here, while I have you here. And this is, it's not particularly, they'll know more as they get closer. But Saturday, this is for the valley, so we're not talking about Waterville Plateau proper. Rain likely, mostly cloudy, high of 53. No.
Okay, so yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. That's actually a good day to be out working outside.
Do they need to bring tools and gloves and that kind of stuff? What do you supply?
Bring some work gloves. We will supply all the necessary tools. It's very rocky soil, so I will actually be out there beforehand and drill all the holes. So there won't be any digging that has to occur. We'll just be planting the plants and then installing the weed barriers and the browse protectors.
Where are the plants coming from? Do you go by your local nursery and say, I mean, where do they come from?
These particular plants were coming from Plants of the Wild. It's a nursery just south of Spokane. We also use Derby Canyon Natives, which is just up the road in
Shaston.
Yes,
You'll get it. I know you're new here.
Right.
So, and here's Joe Taxpayer is now going to drop by. The Foster Creek Conservation District. Where do you get your money? Where's the dough coming from? Who signs your paycheck?
Right. All conservation districts get a small amount of money from the state.
You said small. You kind of obviously you'd like more. We all want more.
Yes, absolutely. It currently is. It's enough to keep the lights on, that sort of thing, pay the rent.
But that's about it.
By and large, all the work we do is grant funded. So this particular project is funded through a grant from the Department of Ecology. Through the 319 program, which is essentially money is devoted to helping enforce or restore impaired waters. That's through the Federal Clean Water Act.
Have you gotten to be a pretty good grant writer, or is that your boss's job?
No, it falls upon everyone at the district.
Okay.
Yeah, I had zero experience before this job, and I've I think written 3 or 4 now.
Oh, wow.
So I actually just submitted a grant with the Department of Ecology yesterday to do more restoration in Foster Creek, actually.
Do you have a good relationship with the DOE, the Department of Ecology?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I talk pretty regularly with our grants administrator, I suppose her name or her title is. So we're back and forth regularly, and they're very happy with the work we're doing.
Getting back to the actual project, as you mentioned before, there was a rancher who's going to fence off that particular area of West Foster Creek, so you could come in there and do that. Who approached who? Whose idea was this? Did the rancher say, I'm going to go ahead and keep my cattle away from the creek so you guys can come in and do that, or did you approach him?
It's he approached us. It's kind of he saw other work that we've been doing in the area and was interested in doing the same sort of thing. So the Department of Ecology provides all the funding for these sorts of things. Landowners generally do in-kind sort of stuff, so their own time involved in the project. We also will provide for, when we do fence cows out of the stream, we will install off-site watering facilities so they can still get water for the cows, but without going into the sensitive riparian area.
And as you mentioned before, it's absolutely critical to the general ecosystem of that area, and there's less of them now since they straightened out the creek. Give me an idea of an invasive plant or animal that really shouldn't be hanging around that you'd like to see. Is it okay, or are there things there that you just assume be gone?
Yeah, there's a few real bad ones.
Give me an idea.
At this particular site, the two biggest problems are Canada thistle and reed canary grass, both of which have these extensive underground creeping root systems.
They're huge. People don't really understand how big the root systems are.
Right, exactly. So it's, you'll see hundreds of different stems above ground, but it's actually all one connected organism. And because of that, it makes it incredibly difficult to control. Traditional, a lot of times people will go and maybe till up weeds or something. That won't work with these plants because that actually just spreads the roots and causes more issues. The weed blankets have been proven to be effective. We'll leave those out for one entire growing season, and the idea is that will be enough to kill all the root systems underneath.
And that's the key.
That is the key.
That's
exactly.
the key.
You gotta kill the root systems.
Any idea how that particular weed was introduced to the area? How it got there? Was it birds or
Yeah, Canada thistle has been around. It's from Europe. It's been around very early on. It probably came over, with colonists.
Yeah.
And it's widely distributed throughout the United States. Reed canary grass is an interesting one. There is actually a native variety that was here before people settled. However, that one is not aggressive. And so when we come out to a place and we see 20 acres and it's nothing but reed canary grass, it's safe to assume that that's the non-native. Hard to say how it came over exactly. A lot of times these things come over contaminants of heat or feed or hay or stuff like that.
Aaron, we have about a minute left. For people who live in the Wenatchee Valley, they've never been up to Foster Creek. They say, how does this affect me? Why should I care about what's going on 40 minutes north of Waterville when I live in little old Wenatchee town? Again, stress the importance of this, for why it's so important for everybody in North Central Washington that this be taken care of.
Sure. Well, like I said, there's several very important wildlife species that are dependent on the riparian areas up there. The greater sage grouse is one. The numbers are falling in the state of Washington, so it's very imperative that we do what we can to protect any habitat that particular bird uses. Foster Creek flows into the Columbia, and Columbia flows right down here. So all the good work we do up there will, the water flows this way. So all that good work will be realized down here as well.
That was a good answer, by the way. We're going to throw up Aaron's cell phone number and email real quickly so you know how to get a hold of him. There it is. I'd say get a hold of Aaron. Again, you're meeting at Waterville Saturday 8-ish or so?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
If you're interested in participating, just give me a call or an email so I know you're coming, and look forward to having you all there.
Can you do me a favor, take some pictures and get them our way so we can do a story on this maybe in early November? I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely can.
All right. Have a good Make a Difference Day. I hope it goes well.
Yep, thank you.
And thanks, Bonnie, for bringing Aaron on board. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Everybody have yourself a great Tuesday. We'll be at it tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.